Welcome to the podcast. Obadiah is back.
So
baby.
Hudson filled in yesterday. Thanks again for Hudson doing that. Obi's broadcasting from home to finish up his quarantine again for today and tomorrow, and then we'll see if he's back in the studio on Monday.
Well, that is the plan. I don't know how much of this will make it into the podcast, but no, I think I put it in there. That basically, I just had a little DLC. That's what Eric called it. I love it.
A little setback, a little extra COVID content that others might not have gotten.
Yeah, so my doctor was like, "Yeah, you gotta isolate again for a few days." And so I should be back. I mean, unless I suddenly spike another fever, I can leave, which I haven't. So that's good news. And it would be okay with me if I didn't.
It would be very good.
Yeah.
We want you feeling better.
So also in the show today, we talk about Christmas at Rockefeller Center. We talk about Mel Gibson's Santa movie, the Thanksgiving Day Parade, peppermint mochas, and the real reason YouTube was down yesterday.
Yeah, YouTube was all out for a little bit. They say a couple of hours, depending on where you're at, if you experienced it. Not everybody did.
We also talk whales and, taking a flight, vomiting, taking off your pants. Things of that nature, no big deal.
That was all with the taking of the flight, so it's all in one story.
It's all in there. So you guys enjoy the podcast today. Thanks for reaching out, all the kind words and stuff. And I've heard from so many of you, some of you that have had COVID far worse than I have, some of you that haven't, but everybody has been great. So thank you for thinking about me, praying for me. It's much appreciated. So thank you.
Definitely text and say hi and pass along any messages to Obi. You can text 877 RadioU. Just put your name and that you're a podcast listener, or the other best place would be RadioU Riot on our Facebook page.
All right. Well, you guys have a great day.
Enjoy the podcast.
Bye.
The Riot isn't all bad, but this is the worst of the Riot. RadioU.
We're back to this.
Yeah, so Obi is broadcasting from his house today and tomorrow, and then hopefully we'll feel better enough tomorrow to be back in this, or on Monday to be back in the studio.
It just comes down to you know what? Do you guys want all the details? Here, let me give you a detailed dump. I got to go to this special clinic for people that have COVID, but your fever comes back. Mm-hmm. And, man, you want to talk about being a plague person. Like, it's legit. You got to park in this special parking spot. They come out and get you. They clear the hallway for when you come in.
Oh, really?
Oh, they have like these designated walking ways that you have to take, which it's fine. So I will say this, the lady, the doctor that I dealt with, she was so kind and talked to me for like 10 minutes, answering all my questions because I took a list of questions.
Yeah.
That's something you might not know. If you have COVID, every family member you have will begin asking you questions quickly and intensely as if you're an expert.
Did she give you like a one sheet you could just send to everybody?
No, but she did answer a bunch of questions for me. And so
you're like,
basically,
you're like, here are my cousins twice removed over there. They would like to know. And then you just ask them all the questions.
Man, that's not far from the truth. But they basically just put me back in quarantine for a few days. And here I am.
Okay.
Good times.
Well, yeah, at least again, we can still do the show today. Thanks to Hudson for filling in yesterday.
Yeah, thank you, Hudson. And thanks to Chris for waking up early to fix the thing that was broken.
To make today happen. Oh, today it's going to be a great day.
We're already having fun.
What's worse than the worst of the Riot? The worst of the Riot podcast. Yeah, you did this to yourself. Podcast. Riot. RadioU.
So, Nikki, I just got distracted by a text message that came in. I'm like,
well, that was
not
distracted
kidding.
So easily. Do you remember what you were going to say?
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about what happened last night.
Yeah.
Did you hear about YouTube?
It was down for a while.
YouTube was down.
I did. Even though
the system is down.
When I went back to it, it was just full of people saying it had been down, but it was just working fine at that point. So I must have missed it.
I actually, at one point, I've been watching a lot of YouTube at home during quarantine. In fact, and you're like, really? What? A lot of PlayStation 5, Xbox One comparison videos and Yule logs. Those have become...
Those are your two go-to items during this quarantine.
They are. I've got a Yule log going right now. It's nice. But like last night when I couldn't get to the Yule log, I was like, well, that's it. It's all falling apart. The system's broken. Now there's no Yule log.
Well, I never heard the reasoning they said why. Like, why was YouTube down for a while?
Well, I'll tell you what, Nikki, there are probably some true explanations, but I prefer the explanations I got from my conservative friends yesterday, and that is that YouTube is part of a vast conspiracy to keep President Trump from getting elected. And so there was a lot of information on YouTube that they didn't want to get out. And so they had to shut it down so they could scrub YouTube of all that information.
Oh, to kind of like do a dump of all this stuff?
You know what? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's true. They didn't have any evidence, though.
Sure.
It just that's what they think it is. But let's see. What actually was the problem? It just says, I'm looking at Team YouTube, which is their official Twitter account, and they just said that they were sorry for the interruption, and then it's fixed.
It looked like it was a global outage, and it seemed like it was just playing videos that was an issue. You could still hop on and do stuff, but you just could not play the videos, but you could comment.
Yeah, so they actually have not confirmed why YouTube was down, which of course they wouldn't because they were scrubbing it with all the information they didn't want you to hear.
YouTube wants you to say this differently, Obi. They weren't actually technically down. You just couldn't view the content, some of the content on the site.
No, YouTube, that's down.
So
that's
they
down,
want to make sure that you know that some users would get a message saying there was an error, but you could, still see the thumbnail images and still get in and access everything. You just couldn't actually watch the video.
Yeah, there's a software engineer somewhere that's like, I'm tired of people saying it's down. It's not down.
The site's still there. It's just you couldn't watch.
The site is there.
You couldn't watch everything.
I can't be responsible for the video servers. My job is the site.
Can you imagine what behind the scenes looks like when YouTube goes down? Because that's, even for a small amount of time, that's a lot of money lost right there.
I want to imagine that it's like hundreds of people scrambling all over each other. Phones are ringing, but it's probably like one guy in a room that goes next door to the other guy and is like, hey.
Will you flip the button again, will you please?
Could you turn it off and turn it back on?
I don't think that's how YouTube handles things. That's a smaller scale.
We don't know that. We
don't know. We assume.
We don't know.
It's the worst of the riot on RadioU.
I got a text message here from Tim that says, hey, Obi, did you see all the problems that Xbox is having? Nikki, did you see any of that stuff on Twitter yesterday?
Well, now, Tim, that's a really big question right there. I mean,
sure.
Xbox, are we talking now with the new console that came out on Tuesday? Are we talking like internal issues? Like, what are we talking about here?
Well, I'm going to assume it's about the console.
I bet
you're right, Nikki. It could be issues with the culture on campus.
Who knows? Like, that is a broad question right there.
You're absolutely right. But what's going on, if you haven't seen it, is there are videos of, there are Xboxes that are breaking. And it ranges from people who, like, their Xboxes are making clicking sounds.
Yeah.
Which is as someone that's built their own computer, it just sounded to me like basically in transit, something with the fan got knocked off. So, you probably have to warranty it through Xbox, but in reality, if you could open it up, you're probably about 3 screw turns away from that being completely fine.
But who's going to do that? You also just don't want to open it up because does that void anything?
I don't know. But the other thing is some people have videos of like Xboxes catching on fire.
Already?
I guess.
It's so soon.
Let me just tell you, I got a message from Jerome yesterday, one of our listeners, and I love what he said. He's like, it's legit. I saw it on Twitter.
Well, did it catch on fire or did someone put it on fire?
Well, I started looking into it yesterday, and from the official Microsoft Twitter account, what really may be, I said maybe tweet of the week, but it could be tweet of the year. Microsoft, from their official Xbox account, said, and this is a quote, "We can't believe we have to say this, but please do not blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X."
Oh, that means enough people have. Oh, wow. Maybe they were doing it for like effect when they were unboxing it and doing all that stuff.
One of the big things with these new consoles is airflow. It's one of the ways they keep them cool. Like, components run hot, especially when they're high performance. And so as a result, they've put a lot of work into cooling units and the fans and stuff. And so if you blow, I watched video of it. Like, if you blow your vape into it, it like distributes the vape in this really cool way. And I get it. But just don't blow it into your $500 fan. Blow your vape into like a $10 fan.
Well, do you have a ceiling fan or a little small one? Try it there, but don't ruin your Xbox.
Just something else.
Well,
that's all.
That's just Xbox blaming everybody else.
Right.
Their problems.
You know what? You got the other thing is, okay, according to The Verge, Eurogamer, and GameSpot this morning, they say that footage of the Xbox smoking is probably faked.
You mean on fire or someone vaping through it?
I don't know, whatever.
It's hard. You really want to get a console and you want to get all the new hot stuff like the day it comes out. But there is something to waiting a little bit so they can fix any issues that might pop up from when it actually gets out to people.
So, okay, now I get, here's the idea, is that they're saying, Xbox is saying, please don't vape into your console, basically. And then other people are saying that all of these pictures that people are, and video that people are shooting, like, oh my gosh, my Xbox is on fire, they're just blowing their vape pens into the bottom.
To make it look like
sucking it through, so it looks like it's coming out the top. Yep.
Gotcha.
So, that's the problems.
We've got an archive of everything stupid the Riot has ever said at your fingertips. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
So, I have been, I'm back in the basement, hopefully back in the studio Monday, and I'm going to use the word permanently. Ha!
He's going to, but he's back in quarantine just for a few days.
Yeah, so I have got, like, when I was out of quarantine for those brief moments, many of you sent us Starbucks pumpkin spice coffee, especially, and I don't have his name in front of me, but
it was Charlie.
Yep. Charlie sent us so much Starbucks coffee, and so did Aaron. We had two people that sent it, and so thank you so much for the pumpkin spice. But I stopped off to pick up, I don't even remember what. I was in a store wearing a mask, social distancing, and I looked to my left,
and you saw?
And what did I see? But Starbucks peppermint mocha was in the store. And I don't know what's happening to me, that now all of a sudden I'm on this corporate coffee train. But
you never liked Starbucks coffee, or you're right to call it the corporate stuff. You'd always get your locally sourced beans,
which I still do.
Sure,
but I just saw it and I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. So I bought a bag, and it's been really good. I mean, it's probably, if you're a true fan of coffee, just like with the pumpkin spice, I would probably give it to you, and you'd be like, this is trash. It's trash. But it's grocery store coffee, and you know what? It's not bad. Like, I have been enjoying it. Been putting it through the AeroPress, and this morning...
That must help it. It must be the best way to make it for you.
Well, I'm going to bring a bag with me, Nikki, on Monday, because I'm going to make us some. But one of the things that I thought while I was drinking it, or this morning, like I made it, and I left the kitchen, and I came back, and I caught this smell, and I just thought about Christmas for a minute, and I realized... it was the smell of the coffee.
Christmas in a cup.
That made me think about Christmas.
So it was the peppermint mocha you were trying to?
It is. And it's not, again, I'm just drinking it black, but it's, and it's just plain old, like, it's already ground up coffee. And I grabbed it at a grocery store, and I'm sure they probably sell it at Starbucks, but you know what? It's good.
So how long would the pumpkin one last? Like, I know we got to kind of roll through that one first, but for the pumpkin spice, it's not like it's good next year, is it?
No. Well, I mean, it probably wouldn't kill you to drink it next year, but I wouldn't want to.
You wouldn't want to. It's not the fresh stuff you need.
No. So, I mean, I figure on Monday I'll brew us some peppermint mocha. We'll go back through, finish up the pumpkin spice, and then maybe we'll grab some more peppermint mocha in December.
There's no reason why in January we also couldn't just, plow through pumpkin spice then. It could just be a flavor we go back to.
Hey, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what? I'll put on my Uggs and a scarf, and it'll feel right.
We need to find a complimentary creamer because the creamers I had did not work well with the pumpkin spice.
Do you have
coffee.
A pumpkin spice creamer?
There is still one in there. I think that was the one that someone brought us as well.
See, I would imagine that a pumpkin spice creamer in that pumpkin spice coffee would make for a pumpkin-y delight.
A cohesive cup of coffee. I was using the Snickers and the Funfetti one, and those don't work. So that is a negative.
I'll just tell you that a pumpkin Snickers doesn't sound very good to me.
You think it does, and there's no fun in pumpkin Funfetti, so that's not what you want to try.
Giving every novelty food the publicity it so blatantly desires. It's The Riot on Radio U.
The old good news, bad news. Here's my bad news.
So bad news first. Obi's going to share.
So I've got COVID-19. This much we know. It seems that I had a bit of a backslide. You know what's funny is the doctor actually said, she's like, you may or may not be contagious, but because you have a fever, back into quarantine you go. And that was kind of it. So that's where I'm at. I don't have a fever anymore, and I haven't for days, but that's fine. I'll just live alone. And
but
always.
You still have to wait a certain amount of time. And
I do.
And then the exhaustion thing still seems to be what you have that's strong.
It's legit, dude. Exhaustion and the new hotness for me is like shaking, like shaky hands.
That's
a weird one.
Is that from being exhausted, though?
I don't know, whatever.
And the new hotness was the fever.
Yeah.
And that's gone.
I don't know, whatever. All of that being said, we have entered a critical time in regards to the airline flight I was supposed to take 1 week from today. And that's it.
Oh, you canceled them? Oh.
Flights are canceled. They issued me e-credit.
Oh, so you can just use another flight later.
Yeah, and I originally wasn't going to book the flights because I was like, look, it's not going to work out. I'll never make it. So then they just get to hang on to my money. And it was like, no, it'll be fine by then. I booked this airfare like back in April or May, and it's like, this will all be settled. Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, because airfare was super cheap at the beginning of quarantine stuff back then. Oh, my gosh. Well,
they were trying really hard to sell tickets, and it was just like, man, like, what the heck? Like, let's just do it. Let's go.
Well, you know how unpleasant airline travel normally is, and then you throw in all the COVID stuff with it, you would have such a hard time getting out there because they're making that flight so long for you.
Yes, they had stretched it in bizarre ways. It went from being a 6-hour flight to a 13-hour flight. And to be honest, just my stamina, it's weird. It is weird. I know it's not an everybody thing, but for me, COVID has done something really weird to me about having only kind of so much energy to work with. And I don't know if I could. I mean, I'd live, but that 13-hour flight would have been brutal.
Oh, that would have been miserable. And then you wouldn't have enjoyed your vacation.
So I had to. The airline process was actually surprisingly simple. I was booked on Delta, and it's just right on the website. Like, just, do you want to cancel or postpone your travel due to COVID-19? I was like, yes, I do. Just click the link. And it was actually a surprisingly simple process. Fingers crossed that there's not something I don't realize.
Sure. So that was the negative. That was the sad part of the story because he can't go on vacation next week.
Oh, it's weird. So I'll just come to work then.
Well, okay, that's the silver lining, isn't it?
It is.
Yay!
It's not like I've been coming to work, so what a privilege. It'll seem like vacation.
It will absolutely seem like a new destination when you come here, I promise.
People win awards for being the best at things. Are there awards for the worst? Because we have a contender. Worst of the Riot podcast.
Well, Nikki, the PlayStation 5 launches today.
You're right. It is Thursday. That is today.
It's today. And
wow, finally.
It's been funny, like, kind of poking around this morning because a lot of people, like, some retail places were like, hey, we will not have them in stock. And it turns out that a lot of them actually do. So I saw people that, like, work at Walmart and they were like, yeah, we don't have these. And the guy was like, yeah, we do. Like,
they actually have some of those in stores, like physically, or just through the website today?
Yeah, they said it was just going to be through the website, but they actually have some in stores. Now, I wouldn't count on those being there in 5 minutes.
And don't blame Obi for being the messenger.
But if you look, like, certain retailers doing online launches where it was like, hey, if you're here at noon, you can order one. If you're here at 2 p.m., you can order one. And again, it's going to be battle bots. It's just going to be a lot of things. But in the middle of all of that, I had pretty much given up on the idea of getting one. And I got a message yesterday from a friend of mine who managed to pre-order 2 of them.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he's like, I pre-ordered 2 because I wanted to be able to sell one to someone that actually wanted one, not to scalp it, but I didn't want a bot to get it. I was just like, man, that's crazy.
That sounds like you.
And so he and I have made arrangements for a contactless rendezvous.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a PlayStation 5.
You are?
I am.
Yay!
I'm so excited. Like, I'm so excited about it. Like, super pumped. It just depends on when it shows up because it's shipping. So it'd be like today or tomorrow. But he and I are I'll pay via PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
He'll place it in the trunk of the car and off I'll go.
Good, safe
with
and
a
sound.
PlayStation 5.
Yay!
Yep.
So will you get it, you think, today or tomorrow?
Today or tomorrow. I don't know. And so I would be surprised if it was today, to be honest. But yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I had tweeted about, like, hey, I might try to get one online. And this is somebody that actually, like, I haven't talked to him in a long time. I DJ'd his wedding. And he was like, hey, I saw your tweet. Do you want a PlayStation? I was like, yeah.
Did he go, psst, I got a PlayStation?
Psst, hey, kid.
It's
you
nice
want
when
it's
legitimate. I mean, the problem everybody seems to be having with buying anything, and we bring this up a lot, is there are bots on patrol, man, and they take all the good stuff. So if something goes on sale, bots grab it, so then that person can then resell it at a higher price. And we're just not fast enough. You cannot be fast enough, so you can't get these things.
Yeah, he said he ended up pre-ordering from 2 places. He was basically trying to buy. He's like, one of these will go through. One of them will go through.
Yeah.
And it ended up that both of them went through. So
good for him and good for you. Yay.
And good for me.
All right, well, Obi
Nikki,
will have his new PlayStation this weekend.
Tonight or tomorrow, I don't know which, I'll be playing Everybody's Golf, and I haven't decided yet. I need to buy an actual PS5 game. Like something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to buy one, and I'll be trying that out. It looks like it'll probably be Spider-Man, because that's like the thing.
And there's not many other options.
Well, the thing that's cool, and I'll wrap on this because I know some people will be like, great, thanks for rubbing it in. But I signed up. I bought 2 years of PlayStation Plus. I found it on sale for like $28, I think. And they have 20 games that are PS4 games that have been patched. So like their performance is improved and they look better on PS5. And that's part of the thing. So like there's a ton of games in that list I've never played. I mean, they're PlayStation 4 games, but they're games. I can play them, right?
That'll work.
All right. It's cool.
Well, congratulations, Sam says. Glad you're getting a PS5, Obi. My pre-order is out for delivery right now.
Well, Sam, we're PlayStation buddies, dude. Best of lucks.
Where do you go when you need someone to listen to your problems and give you a big hug? Not here. Obviously, this is The Riot on Radio U.
Nikki, Christmas is not that far away.
I know,
In
we're
fact,
getting close.
Thanksgiving is 2 weeks from today.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are arguing about, is it okay to listen to Christmas music before Thanksgiving? That argument is short-lived, friends, because in 2 weeks, it's going to be all on.
People won't be fighting you about that because I know a lot of people have already started listening to Christmas music. You already set up all your Christmas stuff. You're all ready to go. And this year, that is perfectly fine.
Yep, it's a thing for sure. Well, this weekend, they're going to start putting up the tree. Not at Nikki's house, not at my house, but at Rockefeller Center.
Oh, it is that time for that. Oh, I've only been once to see the Rockefeller Christmas tree, but it's definitely something you should do once in your life if you can.
It's very cool. It is a 75-foot tall, 11-ton Norway spruce from Oneonta in upstate New York, and it will be the one. They had a crane that went in with a 115-foot long trailer. It was put on there. It gets donated to the city this year by Daddy Al's General Store.
All right. That must be a New York thing. It's not a place we have here.
I don't know who Daddy Al is. Apparently he's generous.
It's located around, it was donated by there, and it's located around 170 miles north of Manhattan.
How much do you think that costs?
To bring the tree in?
Because, for example, sometimes I'll be looking at a Christmas tree and I'm like, man, this pre-lit stuff, it's like $400 or $500. It's a lot.
Well, I mean, this tree, it's an honor to be the tree chosen. I think that's what they tell everybody, just to try to get your tree. I can imagine it because remember we had that satellite dish that they had to move? And
yes.
That was taking it apart, but like moving it, that's like sometimes $30,000, $40,000 to move this thing because it's specialized people. This is a special category of tree movers who get to move the iconic Christmas tree.
Well, Nikki, I'll tell you that it's on the way right now. And on Saturday, they start the process of putting it up.
Well, good.
It's crazy. This tree, it was just in somebody's yard.
Yeah, they just go pick it out. They have a committee of people that go. I don't know if you can, submit your tree as an option, and then they just pick from there. But
I'll bet you can.
It's a thing.
I'll bet.
So they're going to do a scaled-back version of the Rockefeller Center tree lighting ceremony that they normally do. That'll be on Friday, December 4th.
I want to know how much do you get paid for that big old tree? Because it's not a donation from the person. Big Al is donating it. But what about you at your house? What are you getting for that?
That's a good question. And you wonder if someone can actually say, or do they have to they sign a non-disclosure? Yeah. So they say that the Rockefeller tree is under 24-hour surveillance until it's chopped down, which is happening this morning. And then it goes from there.
And then they will be doing the tree lighting ceremony Friday, December 4th. Merry Christmas, y'all.
Yay.
The worst podcast with the best listeners. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
I'm ashamed of it. I am. But the reviews keep coming in that Fatman is the worst Christmas movie of all time.
You guys really sent us that trailer a lot. That's the Mel Gibson Santa thing, and everybody wanted us to watch that trailer.
I want you to know, between the trailer and the fact that everybody keeps saying it's the worst Christmas movie of all time, makes me really want to watch it.
Everybody it says you should if you're into the bad things. If you want to watch something that's so bad that is it actually end up being entertaining?
I don't know. I just know that, again, and I fully accept how pathetic I am, but the fact that everyone says it's bad is what makes me want to see it. Now, it's actually, if you can find an open movie theater, it's in theaters tomorrow.
Yeah, we have, I was just looking it up. We have 2 theaters here that are showing it.
Nikki.
No.
What?
I don't want to.
What are you saying?
Nope, no thank you.
What?
Nope, don't want to see the movie. I don't want to. This is not the movie. I've not gone to the movies since, when was it? Emma, last early March. This is not what I'm coming back to the movie theaters to.
Yes, it is. Because
I'm saying no.
It's the opposite of Emma. That's why there's a poeticness to you going to. You saw Emma, which was nice, and this, which I don't want to use the word naughty because some people think that's good. It's bad.
So is this going to be just in theaters tomorrow, or technically now it already is, or is it a on-demand thing?
Well, they say it will be in theaters tomorrow, and then it's going to release on demand the 17th. So that's next Tuesday.
Maybe you'll get just bored enough during Thanksgiving time that you'll want to watch it, or if not, we're just going to pass on it.
That's how I feel it happens. I think that you're like, as a joke, we're going to check this movie out, and then you pay probably way too much money to rent it.
If they would have just put this on, like, this does feel like a Netflix or a Amazon, like some sort of streaming thing, where if Fatman was a part of an already thing that you paid for, it probably would have done better.
Here's what I think. I think the movie is probably past bad and into tasteless. Do you know what I mean? Where
Yeah,
it's
I
just
get
like, and I imagine that most streaming services would be like, that's the movie that you get quietly next year or in 2 years, and it just shows up.
Just shows up there. So in case you're like, oh, what's Fatman? And you weren't sent the trailer like we were all the time. The story is Kris Kringle, which is Santa, is forced into a partnership with the U.S. military. He gets locked in a deadly battle of wits against highly skilled assassins hired by a 12-year-old after they receive a lump of coal in his stocking. So that's the pitch.
Gosh.
That's the pitch that got this movie made.
Do you guys know that that's actually what you call a high concept movie? It is. Look it up.
In case you're wondering, yes, we do get complaints.
They have gone too far. This time, they are going to be held accountable.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
So one of the things that I look forward to on Thanksgiving Day is sitting alone in my basement. No, wait, sorry, wrong card. One of the things I look forward to is a lot of times I watch the Thanksgiving Day parade.
Oh, the Macy's, or is it still called the Macy's one, but that one?
It is. I don't know. I just know that it's not going to be the same this year, but it's still happening.
Are they going to do the balloons and no one can watch them?
Yep.
Oh, they really are?
There will be no in-person audience this year. Streets around the area will be closed off to prevent people
from trying to go.
Yeah. Okay. So what they've done is they have a mile and a half. Or it's a mile. They basically have got a couple of blocks that they've shut down, and they're going to do the parade and record it for no one. Excuse me. The parade is for no one, but they're recording it so we can see it.
They hope someone's going to watch it. And then they usually do how will that work? They tend to do a lot of Broadway.
They are pre-recording Broadway performances that they will then edit into the presentation.
Well, how can they get people together? Because Broadway's been shut down for so long.
I don't know. I just know that they are. So it's going to be Hamilton, Mean Girls, Jagged Little Pill, and Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptations. Those will be the ones
that are
featured.
You'll see. Maybe it was from when they were actually doing it live in theaters that they'll be showing it, but I guess we won't find out until then. And then otherwise, outside of that, it would be marching bands. Are they not doing that?
Wow, thanks for coming in with that question I don't know the answer to.
I assume not, because they wouldn't want anybody traveling.
I don't think they are, because basically what you just said, they're trying very hard to give us a semblance of the parade, but maintain some kind of a safety level there. And so I was looking into the Broadway stuff. They said for them, the cast are coming back together. Basically, they all, before taping, I don't know if they've already done this or they're going to, but they'll all get COVID-19 tests. They said they'll be socially distancing aside from the performances, though in some cases the performances will be staged in such a way to maintain distancing you wouldn't normally get
during the
out of
performance.
That presentation.
I see.
Right. And then, it looks like there won't be any marching bands this year.
So knowing it's different and you're someone who actually would watch the parade every Thanksgiving, do you think you'd even bother tuning in knowing it's something else?
Oh, yeah, because now it's going to be really different. Because, okay, one of the things I do with the parade is I'm not sitting there glued to the parade. I'm usually like looking at the Black Friday sales, drinking coffee. I always get donuts because I've got family together, so we all eat donuts, kind of watch the parade, and just it's just like a hangout kind of thing. And so sometimes you're paying attention, sometimes you're not. This is something I really want to see because now something I've seen for years, they're completely redoing the way they're presenting it, and just from a producer standpoint, I want to watch how they put this media presentation together.
Just to see, because hopefully that means it's shorter. Like, I don't normally know how long it would clock in, but it would have to be a lot shorter.
Normally it's like 3 hours. We never watch the whole thing. Who could? And so it's got to be, right?
Guess we'll find out if you watch.
Right?
I never watched.
Right?
I'm not going to. Yeah. No, they're still going to sell the commercial time during it. They'll be happy to fill in the blank time that they could not have filled up with more Broadway and no marching bands and all the balloon stuff.
Boy, that's a true story. So I don't know.
Proper planning prevents poor performance. Clearly, the riot didn't properly plan. This is the worst of the riot on Radio U.
You guys know I'm back in isolation for a little while because of this whole COVID-19. Maybe I have it, maybe I don't, maybe whatever, but I had a fever and they're like, sit down.
You've had it. You've been in quarantine, but then you got a fever again, so you had to go back in.
Nikki, do you want to hear something really sad?
Yeah.
Do you know who else can get COVID-19?
Who else? I mean, if Obi can... Oh, my gosh. You're kidding. I don't know why, but that is sad. How will they know to tell us that they don't feel good? What
Where are they
going
to get the care they need?
I know. What do they do? How do you get the
and
test?
how do they get tested? Do you swab the blowhole?
Oh, gosh. It's awful.
Hold still. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird, but...
It's just a couple of swirls. It's fine.
I got it. It's 15 seconds.
So does it explain, like, how they found out that whales can get COVID or why someone was curious enough to find out?
Well, Nikki, what do they say?
Are they saying we're all whales and we're one step from it, so they must get it?
Well, first off, whales are mammals, and so are we. So they're mammals of the sea.
Sure.
And what's one of the number one risk factors when it comes to any kind of disease?
Spreading it, or what do you mean?
Obesity.
Oh.
Who are the fattest of the fat, y'all?
No, they're perfectly sized for them.
Feel free to insert a mom joke in here somewhere, but we're talking about whales, like your mom. But
a whale is not fat. A whale is just big. Like that's
big boned.
No, that's
they're
its
big boned.
size.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
No, it's not. I mean, there could be maybe fat whales.
Bodies come in different shapes and sizes, and they're all beautiful.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, it's just that is its actual size.
Nikki is here to fight against whale shaming.
You will not shame whales on this show. Do you understand me?
I am tired of these quote-unquote traditional standards of beauty, which are always changing, by the way, and they're being applied to whales now. It's ridiculous.
It's just so sad to hear and see it happening.
Just to let you know, it's not just whales. It's also dolphins. And, I mean, they're thin and active, happy.
They should be fine, but they're not.
Whales are just like, but, dolphins are like, and they're jumping around. Very active.
So this just shows you that anyone can get it and anything.
Oh, seals can also get it.
Oh, those are all. You guys remember I wanted to be a marine biologist before I fell into radio.
She saw a Seinfeld episode one time and she just wanted to get involved.
No, I just totally wanted to be that. And that's all my favorites right there.
Yeah. So some scientists have been studying like, hey, what other creatures on the earth are susceptible? And some of it having to do with, that some of these are endangered species. And so they've been, I didn't dig real deep into just exactly what's going on here. I really just wanted to make your mama's so fat joke, which I did successfully.
Is that's all you really wanted to bring to the table with this story?
Basically, yeah, but they were researching to see, like, hey, who else is at threat here? What I don't know is, like, did they infect a dolphin with COVID-19? I don't know what research they did.
Well, that would be awful. I don't want to know about that. Are bears okay, or is it just...
Haven't seen anything about bears, but I will tell you, I have been quarantining from my dolphin. He has to stay in the tub, and I'm staying downstairs.
That's been the hardest part for Obi.
Yeah.
His support dolphin.
Yeah. I mean, I take him with me everywhere I go.
You guys are best friends.
We've been FaceTiming, though. Like, he seems like he's doing okay. The tub is small, but, the basement's not that big. So you just adjust to your circumstances. And I found that one of the best ways to fight back against depression and anxiety when in quarantine is gratefulness, Nikki.
Thankfulness and gratefulness.
So I've been talking to him about it.
So I'm sorry, just to recap this whole thing. If we have COVID, we could give COVID to a whale or a dolphin or a seal because they can get COVID.
That's why you're supposed to stay away from the blowhole.
Now,
no kisses.
Could they then pass it back to us? I mean, I don't know what this means.
What we don't know.
We don't know.
They basically have just said that, yes, we can pass it on to animals, especially mammals that come in close contact with humans. So,
The Riot Radio U.
Now let's talk Chipotle. Chipotle has opened their first digital-only, quote-unquote, kitchen in New York City. So here's the idea. You go in there, it's a dining area, but there is no dining area. It's just to go. And there are no employees working the front counter. So, you don't go in and watch them make your food.
Sure.
You just go in and you have ordered online and you just go in, pick it up, and leave.
This is not the first sort of dark restaurant in New York City, especially, but there's not a lot in that area because they went so long with being able to have anyone come back and eat in a restaurant that, they have to develop into this new sort of style of place where it's really just for online orders. You just make it through the app and then you go pick it up. But it's like a storefront for it, but you can't actually go eat there. It's just pickup only.
You know what? I mean, of course, this would be true during the pandemic. I haven't eaten in a Chipotle, probably since January or February. But their to-go option is actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. If you do the online order, you can walk in. They usually have your stuff sitting out in a rack, and it'll have your name on it, and you just grab it.
Yeah,
seems like...
Well, the one near me that I go to has a drive-through, and so I don't even go in. They just
hand it out.
It's just a big window, and they throw it at you when you say your name, and then you just keep driving.
The only thing about me that I'm concerned about here is that Chipotle used to give you a burrito to end all burritos.
Oh, like stuffed full of stuff?
I mean, I've gone to Chipotle, and there was a time when they were like, we had to put another burrito shell on it. It was too stuffed.
And you weren't charged for it.
No. And now when you go to Chipotle, they're like, hey, we had to cut the burrito in half, or the tortilla in half, so that way it didn't look like we had cheated you.
Because we couldn't fill it up enough.
Yeah. And so now you're telling me that Chipotle kitchens are going to exist where they're not going to feel the weight of my eyes watching them build my burrito because I want them to know that I know that they're cheating me on the chicken.
I don't think they're cheating you, but that was long ago when they would be generous. I mean, Chipotle used to be a whole different machine. It was kind of like the like the other restaurants, and they would do you right. And you would go there for that reason, and then it became more corporate, and it definitely changed more.
They're just like everybody else.
I know, and once they started weighing all the stuff when you'd go through the line, you're like, oh yeah, we've changed now. That's not going to happen anymore.
I'm going to tell you what, when you start weighing stuff, that tells me that the relationship we used to have is out the window. We're dealing we used to do business on relationship, and now we're working on a contract.
That means that your business used to do too much food, and they had to cut it back, and you needed to know by how much. You had to have a scale to go through the whole Chipotle line.
Well, let me tell you what. This is the beginning of the end for getting a decent-sized serving at Chipotle.
So this is only in New York City, but you could see how for a lot of restaurants and places, it's just not profitable for them to have an open dining room area. It's not. Right. They don't have the staff for it. They can't fight the rules to have it open. So it's really just a pickup-only place. So it is just like a front-facing storefront, but there's no actual sit-down inside anymore.
Chipotle sounds pretty good.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.
Nikki thinks that everyone that ever liked Garth Brooks or heard one of his songs sucks.